Ensayo Persuasivo, the persuasive essay, otherwise known as the 5-paragraph essay. We're going to look both at the format and the content of writing this type of text. Here's the format. As the writer, you're the student. You're going to begin by writing your name. The name of your professor comes next. If your instructor is a doctor, it'll be Dr. Or Mr., it'll be Sr. If the doctor is a female, it'll be Doctora or Señora, Sra. The name of the course comes next. Spanish IB or Spanish AP or Spanish 300 or 400, whatever course you're in. Then the date. And remember, the date comes day, month, year. The title of an essay is going to be centered in the middle. In this case, bovine farts are warming the planet between 1950 and 2010. You don't always need to have a time frame, but it is useful to have a time frame so you can kind of know when and where the events of the essay take place. This is also a pretty broad topic, so let's narrow it down a little bit. Cattle and the contamination of rivers in Bolivia between 1950 and 2010. That's a little bit better. It's focused on a Spanish-speaking country, and it's far more specific. We know, for example, the place, Bolivia. Even more specifically, rivers in Bolivia. The time frame, so now we know where and when, and the what is also there too. This essay is going to discuss cattle and their contamination of water sources in Bolivia during this time period. You'll then start with a good, solid, strong thesis. Cattle manure has contaminated the rivers in the eastern region of the Gran Chaco in Bolivia. The Gran Chaco is a big section of the country that's a big forest. That's a very specific thesis, and you should be able to prove that. You prove it by showing information from Fuente Uno, from the first source. If you're taking an AP class, that first source is going to be a written source. The second source will be a graph or a chart of some sort that you'll have to interpret. And the third source will be an oral source like a podcast. And you're going to want to quote from each one of those sources in your essay to support your thesis. As for the conclusion, you restate the thesis and incorporate information from each of those three sources if that's appropriate as well. The available evidence and the valid sources that I have investigated suggest that cattle manure contaminated the rivers in the eastern region of the Gran Chaco in Bolivia during the decades of 1950 through 2010. That's pretty much all you need to do in a 5-paragraph essay, or un ensayo persuasivo. Be specific about where, when, and what. Make a provable thesis, something that can be proven or disproven. Show 3 sources, quote them, and then restate that thesis in the conclusion, and you're out. Then if somebody later wants to read that essay, they can go point by point and source by source and refute something that you said, and then say, hey, because this, and this, they can go point by point through your essay and say, I think your conclusion is wrong, I think your thesis is wrong, or your thesis may even be right, but those sources aren't going to lead you to that conclusion. You need to have a different source here or a different source here. So this allows you to go through and ultimately discover truth. That's what we're seeking in an essay. We're not just trying to prove our confirmation bias. We're trying to make a point, open it up to others to criticize each single point, and then we can come closer and closer and closer what's actually accurate and happening in the world. If we have a bad definition, understanding of reality, our emotions are going to be upset, our thinking is going to be inaccurate as well, which means our actions are going to be not solving problems that actually exist because we're going to have an inaccurate understanding of reality. We don't want that. So essays are really fantastic because they allow you to make a quick thesis, prove a quick point, and allow those ideas to be questioned by others and maybe then accepted by them as accurate or unaccepted by them, and you can work on your thesis and work on your sources from there. So that's the format and the content of a persuasive essay. Ensayo Persuasivo. Good luck. This is one of my favorite styles of writing. Absolutely love it. Have fun making points and trying to convince people of things that are actually true.